Hey there, Amanda with Rad Roots. I am here today to share a favorite recipe of mine that, well, I didn't conceive of it, but I do make some little tweaks along the way to make it Ayurvedic in nature and to hopefully make it a quick and easy recipe for you as well. It's awesome any time of day for breakfast, brunch, lunch, or dinner. It is a crepe. But not your classic crepe, not the French style buttery crepe. I mean, sure, it could be as buttery as you want to make it. But what's great about this one is it's gluten-free if that's your jam. And even if it's not, it's got a really nice texture, really nice flavor. And it comes together, interestingly enough, with rice and yellow mung dal. So how does that work exactly? So what I've done is I've taken a half cup, and by the way, I'll post this, check out the description for the recipe and ingredients, so you've got that on hand if you're not taking notes, which why wouldn't you? I'm just kidding. So what I've done is I've taken, for like about 6 crepes, and we'll see how many it makes, by the way. It's always a crapshoot when I get it in the pan. So I've taken a half cup of the basmati rice. I've got here a half cup of split yellow mung dal. And I just put them all together in a single bowl, filled it with water. So I got about 1 inch of water or so above the top of the dry grains and legumes, and let it sit overnight. You could even do, say, like 6 hours, so it doesn't absolutely have to be overnight, but then that'll allow you to get your rice and dal in a little bit more of a broken down form, because we're going to be blending this up. And so we're not, obviously haven't cooked it fully like in boiled water, but what we've done, just like we've done in other recipes before, where we might want to break down our grains and other items a little bit earlier in the process for digestibility, we've done the same thing right here. So I have my half cup of both of these that have soaked overnight. Let me go ahead, scrape them into my blender here. And everything's just gonna go right in the blender and we're gonna blend it up. And you might be like, well, that's weird. You've got these crunchy, partially, but not really cooked, rice bits and dal going in the blender. Trust me, it'll blend up really nicely. It'll come out really smooth. It won't be crunchy or weird. I know because I've done it. So I wondered myself, like, what's the texture of this gonna be like? It's great. It's really great. It's really smooth. So I've also got, I've peeled a little bit of my chunk of ginger here. I'm gonna cut off what would be about a tablespoon worth. So again, I mean, I'm eyeballing, so you're more than welcome to, if you'd rather cut it up, actually put it into a measure to make sure, but like I said, I'm eyeballing about a tablespoon here. Adding in some salt. So the recipe recommends, I think, about 3/4 teaspoon to a teaspoon, so we'll throw that in. And then one of my favorite parts, curry powder. So this is what kind of makes this what it is, right? Is sort of how we're seasoning it here. So obviously we've got our ginger, fabulous for digestion as always. The salt for a little savory. And then our curry powder is bringing in, some of that turmeric, again, great for digestion, for inflammation. I'm gonna be putting in, I'm gonna throw in a tablespoon of this. This is a half tablespoon measure, because I really like the flavor. Another way we could call these crepes would be khichdi crepes. I've heard them called that as well, because we're bringing in the main ingredients from a khichdi dish, which would be the rice, the dal, some of the curry seasonings, the ginger. You could honestly season this any way you like. I'm going off the recipe from the Minimalist Baker. But these are kind of my little notes to throw in addition, is to say that this is sort of a base recipe, and even if curry powder isn't your thing, you could simply take some of those seasonings that go, say, in a khichdi dish, like your ginger, like your turmeric, cumin, coriander, fennel, and make it more on the savory side of things. This is going to be relatively savory. I'm only putting in just a dash, which is, when I say a dash, like maybe a half teaspoon of maple syrup just for balance. But I've also seen some other, whoa, okay, that was a little bit more, maybe like a teaspoon, but it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be great. Because we got plenty of savory goodness in there. But with this particular recipe, you know, you can kind of tailor it to your taste as well as your needs. So what I love about it is if you're not up for, you know, making a rice dish that's more kind of that porridgey style dish that we would make, you know, for a kitchery dish, this is just another way of mixing it up. And when I've done a seasonal cleanse that's more of a mono diet with kitchery, I'll sometimes, I don't even want to say cheat because I'm not really cheating, but I might make that kitchery in the form of a crepe and then add some other ingredients along, you know, rolled in it, which we'll talk about in a little bit, that still fit the bill in terms of those cleansing ingredients that we might bring in seasonally. So I'm gonna blend this up. I'm gonna actually top it with about a cup of water so that the water comes just a little bit above our ingredients here so we're not getting them too wet. I'm gonna blend it up. I'll be right back. And we're back. So I've blended up my mixture that we just threw together. Blended it nice and on a high speed for about a minute, so it's really nice and liquidy. Maybe I mean, I didn't think I put in too much water because I just, like I said, put it just over the top of the ingredients. It seems a little watery to me. Sadly, we can't make this less watery. I mean, I guess I could add other ingredients, but I don't have other, say, like grains or anything like that. So I'm gonna give it a go. Again, this usually doesn't fail, even if you're a little off one way or another, and that's kind of the beauty of it. So to make our crepes, I'm taking just a little dollop of plant-based ghee. You can use other oils to coat the pan. Whether you want to do that, I'm going to actually take a little bit out. I love this. We're adjusting as we go, right? Like that's too much. We don't need to make it. We'll save it for the next round. With the ghee or the oil, whatever you use, a nice light layer is all you need. Whether that be on a cast iron, a non-stick, I'll leave it up to you, whatever works best for your purposes, but those would be the two I would recommend. I also have a ladle on hand, and this is what, or even a spoon would work, using the back of the spoon or ladle to help you to spread the crepe batter around. And we're nice and heated, I hope. And I'm gonna put probably about a 1/4 cup to a 1/3 cup right in the center of the pan here. And I've got one of those like wonky stovetops, or I should say like ranges that, you know, kind of like angles down, I think just a touch. So you always kind of have to account for like, for gravitational pull. So again, I'm just taking the back of the spoon here. I'm just very lightly touching the mixture, the batter here to spread it out and to honestly make it as wide of a diameter as you would like. It's gonna start cooking up relatively quickly, so just be kind of swift about it. Mine's sort of kind of a medium in between size here, but I'm just gonna start to let this cook, see it start to firm up on the edges. And this only takes a matter of maybe a minute, 2 minutes here. As I'm watching it, it's already firming up. I'm gonna let it continue to do so, and then I'll eventually flip it. In the meantime, I've turned on my stove to about 200 degrees just to keep things warm. I've got a baking sheet on hand so I can set my cooked crepes in on top of that, slide them in, keep everything warm until we're ready to serve it up. So while I'm throwing this one together, I'll talk to you about what do I put in the thing, right? So many ideas. So for breakfast ideas, one of my favorite is to make a really yummy, savory, ooh, this is ready to flip, tofu scramble. Nice. Let that keep going here. Make a tofu scramble, maybe pick a few cilantro leaves, throw them in there, boom, breakfast is done. Other ideas, roasted potatoes. You could even spread a little yogurt on the crepe, do the potatoes or even do the tofu scramble. Roasted veggies, honestly, of any kind. So I've used roasted beets, potatoes, obviously, carrots, Brussels sprouts are really yummy. This is basically like, think of it as another tortilla type option, right? You know, or a dosa or other general wrap, right? It looks kind of like almost like a big scrambled egg or something, but it isn't. And again, it can have whatever flavor you want to add. So I'm just taking a quick glance at it. It looks really nice. You're welcome to brown it as long as you like, but once you start to see it kind of firm up, it doesn't need to be roasty, toasty, burned to a crisp. You want just a very light kind of golden tinge to it. And obviously it's already kind of golden, you know, by nature of the seasonings and ingredients, but you know what I mean? Just kind of making it a little bit firmer and roasted. And I think it looks really nice. I'm gonna lop it here on my baking sheet, give you a peek. And voila, I don't know if you can see that okay. But again, it's kind of nice and thin, just like your regular kind of French pastry type crepe would be. And yeah, like I said, keep it warm, keep it in the oven, and then roll your ingredients in there if you want to make it kind of like a little taco or a little burrito style. That works great. I've made these on the sweeter end of things, so obviously we wouldn't take like the curry powder, for example, but you could still use your same base ingredients and maybe, you know, add in a little bit of cinnamon and sugar just to make it a sweeter mix, and then put some like maple syrup and butter, or you know, like if you want to kind of take it that more standard sweeter crepe side of things, you know, kind of traditional. But I'm gonna put this in the oven. I'm gonna get on to making some more, see what we end up with. In the meantime, I will leave you to it. I hope you give this recipe a try, and please feel free to comment, get in touch at any time if you've got questions. I'd love to always hear people's variations on a dish as well. That's always fun. But for more recipes, ideas, workshops coming up, especially keeping in touch about food as medicine coaching, I always have that one-to-one service available for folks who want to talk more about imbalances and way to bring balance into your life. I'm here for you. Find it all at www.radrootfood.com. Hope to see you again soon. Take it easy.